Okay, awesome. So today's a pretty straightforward yin class. We're just going to really slow down and do some deep stretching. I know for myself, if I'm stagnant for much time, I start to get a lot of stiffness in my low back, start to just really feel a bit icky, and I've been running as well, but that still tightens the body. So yeah. Let's grab a couple pillows, just have them nearby. I'm just using couch cushions. If you have bolsters or blocks, also that's an option. And a blanket if you feel like being covered. So we're just gonna come to lie on our backs with the feet flat on the floor, knees pointed up. And just start to rock the knees side to side, opening up through the low back. And if you'd like, you can extend your arms out alongside you. Begin to slow the breath. Just letting the legs fall side to side, like windshield wipers. And we're going to come into a really gentle twist to open up and begin the class. So dropping the knees all the way over to one side, you can stack the knees on top of each other if you'd like, or you can also stagger them. And if you feel like your knees are hanging out in space, go ahead and grab a pillow and just bring your knees up a little bit so there's no straining happening. And from here, if you feel comfortable and settled, drawing the shoulder or the head over the opposite shoulder and finding an inhale and exhale to settle into this twist. Feel yourself dropping in, surrendering in, and connect to the breath. With each inhale, feel yourself gently tensing, maybe even perhaps lifting out of the pose just a little bit. And as you exhale, surrendering more into the pose, releasing. We'll stay here for about 2 minutes. And if you notice that anything is coming up for you, maybe your mind feels busy, maybe the body feels busy, or there are any distractions that are surfacing to pull you out of stillness, just take that as an invitation to bring your awareness back to your breath. From here, we're going to find 5 more rounds of breath. Slowly inhaling through the nostrils and exhaling through the nostrils. Each exhale, you continue to sink deeper. Slowly beginning to lift those knees up. We're going to rock them side to side. Just recalibrating, recentering here. And when you're ready, moving all the way over to the other side, letting the knees fall down. Again, they can stack one on top of the other. Or if you feel like you're kind of hanging out in space and this is causing some strain, just bring a pillow to bring your knees a bit up from the ground. And then extending the arms out. You can come into a T or cactus position with the arms. And if it's available to you, drawing your gaze over the opposite shoulder. As before, using the breath to anchor you into this space, finding some stillness here, a stillness you're ready to commit to. Just for a few short moments, we'll stay here, just 2 minutes. Whenever I arrive into my first pose, I always try to take, or when I first arrive into a pose, into maybe, the other side, do a little body scan. So I invite you now to take a body scan and see if you're holding tension anywhere in the body that you're able to release right now. Maybe it's, you're just gripping unknowingly. And sometimes that tension will continue to arise. And we just use the breath here as a tool to try and disperse it, try to relax. And if you find yourself drifting off into a tangent of thought, or feeling a desire to move or fidget, see if you can just bring your awareness back to this pose and your surrender to it with a breath. Melting even further, breathing here for 5 more rounds of breath. Each exhale, you're surrendering more, almost melting into your mat. Coming back to the breath, we'll start to lift the knees up, rocking the knees side to side, just recalibrating, recentering here. And if you'd like, taking a stretch, you can roll your wrists and ankles out. And we're going to make our way into child's pose next. So coming up to seated, this is going to be a supported child's pose. So you want a pillow, if not a few, for this pose. We're going to come into a wide knee child's pose. Bringing your pillows into the space, or a bolster, if you have a bolster, bringing it right up into your hips. We're just trying to create a support, a bit more of a restorative pose here, so that we're not hanging out in space. And what we're going to do is come to inhale, lengthening the spine really long, imagining that the spine is like a board of wood. So one long line all the way from your tailbone up to the crown of your head. We'll start to crawl forward with this long spine until you can't come any more forward with your hands. Start to surrender into your supports. We'll just stay here a few moments. Again, just kind of warming up the body. I know that this class is sometimes, yin classes usually I like about an hour and a half, but I'm trying to find the middle ground here. So we'll warm up, stay here for about 2 minutes. Again, just connecting to the breath and finding some stillness. Again, if you notice yourself drifting off, it's really normal for our monkey minds to start analyzing and assessing or forming a list or, recounting what we need to do later. If you catch yourself doing that, just come back to the breath. Come back to the moment, gravity on your body. With each exhale, feel yourself sinking, melting, surrendering deeper into the pose. I also like to acutely tune into that surrender that physically happens as the exhale occurs, as the lungs empty. The chest actually does bring itself closer towards the floor. And sometimes this movement is so subtle, even just millimeters. Beginning to deepen and lengthen your breath. You'll start to come up to the hands, slowly crawling back. And from here, we're going to extend the legs long in front of us. And if you'd like, just taking some movement again. We're going to make our way into a forward fold. And we're going to hold this one for quite a bit longer than what we've been holding for. So, again, if you want any type of support, you can always bring in a pillow. And you can use this to, just bring the ground a bit closer to if you're really tight. Some other kind of supports I like to use if I'm feeling very, very tight in my hamstrings is just rest my elbows and then drop my chin into the palm of my hand. So that's an option for you as well. Essentially, you can take any variations, supported or a bit more suspended in space, but we're going to come to sit in Dandasana first. Just with the spine really long like before. Inhaling fully. Exhaling all the way out. Inhaling all the way to the crown of your head. Exhaling into the floor below you. And from here, we'll start to crawl the hands forward. Again, imagining that your back, your spine is like a board of wood. So we're reaching through the heart, the crown of the head reaching up towards the ceiling, or maybe where the wall meets the ceiling ahead of you. And when you feel like you can't go any more further forward, that's when we start to curl through the back. So allowing the upper back to hunch, the shoulder blades to fall away from each other. You can rest your hands on the mat, or you can rest them on your legs, maybe reaching for your toes, ankles, whatever feels right to you. You can also play around until you find something that feels right. And this is a really fun one in Yin. So some of the cues that I usually come back to in my Yin practice are be still. So coming to find some stillness, obviously. And coming into a depth that you commit to. So finding your depth and then staying there. Finding stillness within that depth. And then committing and breathing. So we're going to find a depth in our pose that feels like a bit of an edge. You can hang out here. There's definitely a stretch, some discomfort. But it's still sustainable. You can stay here. You're not going to need to run in 2 minutes. Then as we breathe, this stillness becomes more attainable. And we begin to sink into the pose. So we're going to stay in this pose for about 5 minutes. And if you catch yourself with a deep desire surfacing to move or fidget or scratch, maybe move your hair, I'll give you this. Check in with yourself and acknowledge what it is you are feeling like you want to do. And before you take action on that, just stay with it for 3 rounds of breath. And then reassess if this is something that's necessary or if really it's just our mind tricking us to try and pull us out of the present moment. And I really like to play around with my awareness in forward folds. Each inhale, it's kind of like this full body experience. You're micro lifting out of the pose just through the natural means of the breath. And each exhale is this surrender, a micro lowering, the deepening into the breath. So following that with awareness if you'd like. Otherwise breathing, melting, just hanging out. As we settle into this pose, you may notice that your muscles are beginning to release, start to deepen. And if that becomes the case, if you feel like you're starting to get a little more comfortable, this is an invitation to fall deeper into the pose. Again, we're not looking to overextend or there's no winning to Yin Yoga when it comes to depth. It's more about finding stillness within our depth. And through that stillness, we start to stretch and bring blood circulation into the deep connective tissue. It's aiding in our mobility, which goes hand in hand with being able to build strength and endurance in our practice, in life, in walking, in healing. Just continuing to breathe here. Continue to breathe. We're beginning to develop length and depth. Breathing deeper into the belly and the diaphragm. And as you exhale, exhaling out all of your air. See here if you can go just a little bit deeper, if there's a bit more surrender available to you. And from here, we'll find 5 more rounds of breath. There's no rushing through them. You don't need to keep count. Generally, just finding a connectedness to the full length of the inhale and the extent of the exhale. Slowly, we're going to start to come up, crawling out. I'm just beginning to find some movement. Anything that feels good. So this is a really cool, intuitive, freestyling moment. You know, what do you feel called to? For myself, it's just a little bit of cat-cow. Maybe that feels good for you. We're creating the letter C with the spine. Bringing the shoulder and hip towards each other. Kind of like a side-to-side cat. And from here, if you're not already on hands and knees, we're going to make our way to hands and knees. Coming into tabletop position. From here, rocking the hips side to side. We're going to inhale to shift our weight into the left hand, reaching up with the right, stacking right shoulder on top of left. Gaze up towards the ceiling. You can roll out your wrist here. And with your next exhale, diving that right hand under the window of the left arm. We'll inhale to sweep up again. And exhale to come to settle in, so dropping onto the shoulder here, bringing the right cheek to the mat. You can stay with the left hand in front of the face, or you can reach it up towards the ceiling, or even flip the palm, and then bring the hand to the hip crease. We'll stay here for about just 1 minute, stretching across the shoulders. And this is a bit of an awkward pose, an awkward stretch. So taking that initial body scan, checking in, see if you can surrender here, release any tension. You can untuck the toes, bringing the tops of the feet to the mat. And then just connecting to the breath. So Eckhart Tolle said, there's a quote by Eckhart Tolle, and it's really stuck with me. He said, meditation is just a conscious breath in and a conscious breath out. And that's really simply put. It dismisses a bit of the practice, but it's really interesting in moments like this, like conceptualizing, integrating that meditation practice as well. Tuning into the breath just one moment at a time for one inhale and one exhale with no expectation or pressure to continue. Just kind of putting that all aside to be completely present in the given moment. So I invite you now to just find one inhale and one exhale. Being consciously present for those. From here, we'll shift our weight into the left hand, reaching the right arm up, opening across the chest. Then lowering the right hand down, we'll switch sides, just coming to center. Again, opportunity to move, stretch, recalibrate. And we'll spread the fingers wide, shifting the weight into your right hand, reaching the left arm high. Exhale to sweep the left arm under the right. Inhale to sweep back up. Exhale, we'll come to land on this side. On the left shoulder, relaxing, settling in. And again, just finding that initial body scan. Breathing here just for 1 minute. From here, tuning back into the breath if you've drifted off. We'll connect to the breath for that conscious inhale and conscious exhale. Pressing into the right hand, sweeping the left arm high. Exhaling it back down again, finding some intuitive movement, stretching. Maybe a little child's pose. And from here, we're going to come to tabletop. And from tabletop, moving into some pigeon pose. So if you know that pigeon pose is not good for you, or if you have any sharp or intense sensations in the knees, come onto your back and find a figure 4. I'll go through that in a moment. But for those of us coming into pigeon pose, we're just going to go from tabletop, bring the right knee right in between the hands. So the deeper the stretch, the more parallel your shin of the right leg is going to be with the front of the mat. If you want to just gently come in, maybe this is your first time, the leg is on more of a 45-degree angle. And what we're doing here is we're extending the left leg long so it's aligned with the long side of the mat. And then we want to find our hips to be equally balanced. So this means not rolling onto the right hip. It's finding this equal balance between the two. And if you're having a hard time doing that, again, grab a pillow. You can also grab a blanket rolled up. We're just going to wedge it underneath the right hip to keep those hips more in alignment. And this can be, this arguably is a really deep stretch. So maybe this is just your yin pose today. You can totally just hang out here. But if you feel called to come a little deeper, we're going to inhale for a long spine. And again, just as we have been, beginning to walk the hands forward with an exhale, perhaps coming onto your forearms. Again, an option to come onto the elbows, the chin resting in the palm of the hands. Or maybe all the way down. Maybe you also want to grab another pillow and rest the head there. So we'll come to find stillness, and again, connecting to those 3 steps. The first being coming into the depth that you feel like you can really commit to. So making the decision in your depth. Followed by finding stillness. Committing to that stillness. And then beginning to connect to the breath. Breathing here. We'll stay here for about 3 minutes. If you catch yourself drifting off into thoughts, or just distracted, or really desiring to not be in this stretch, then you can stay there. Breathe. And then after about 3 rounds of breath, decide if you want to leave. If you're like, this is not working for me, for those of you on your back, we're going to bring the right ankle just above the left knee, reaching through the windows of the legs, interlacing the fingers behind the left thigh. Both feet are flexed gently. The right knee is coming towards the front of the room, the top of your mat, as the left leg is being pulled back towards the body. So we're creating this push-pull sensation. And I invite you here to close the eyes if they aren't closed already. Each exhale, letting go deeper into your pose. Breathing into the hip, tuning into the breath as it moves in and out of the body as it relaxes towards the floor. We're going to find 3 rounds of deep, controlled breath here before leaving the pose. As you inhale, filling the lungs entirely until you can't find any more air. Holding the breath at the top of the inhale. Then slowly with control, exhaling all the way. Inhaling fully and exhaling fully 2 more times, like this. For those of you on your back, slowly beginning to release the leg. We'll bring both feet down, knees up towards the ceiling, rocking knees side to side. For those of you forward, beginning to bring weight into the hands, crawling them up till you come all the way back up. We'll tuck the back toe under, then pressing into the hands, sweeping the right leg back, dropping the hips side to side. Maybe taking some circles. Again, finding that movement that feels good to you. And then from here, we'll come on to the other side. The same cues, just different side. And know that these sides can be entirely different. So if you're coming into pigeon pose, left knee between the hands. Again, finding a depth that works for you. But ensuring that the left hip, isn't dumping all the way onto the ground, maybe bringing some support if you feel like that will help you. Inhaling a long spine. Back leg is long. We'll exhale to start to come forward, crawling into the depth that feels right on this side. For those of you on your back, bringing the left ankle just above the right knee and reaching the arms through the window. The legs interlacing the fingers behind the right thigh. If you can't quite reach here, that's okay too. But pressing the left knee towards the front of the mat, pulling the right back, creating that push-pull. We'll breathe here. Each breath anchoring you into your pose, surrendering you into the pose. And just continually drawing yourself back to the depth of your stretch, into the presence of this moment. You feel yourself called to fidget or adjust. Just find those few rounds of breath. See if you can stick it out. Check in, see if it's a little mind game that's occurring between our monkey minds and our bodies being in discomfort. If you're like, no, I really need to make that adjustment, go ahead. And then again, anchoring in with the breath. Surrendering into the stretch. Breathing fully here. We're going to take ourselves through 5 rounds of breath. Breathing in all the way, breathing out all the way. Ending your last breath in, inhaling all the way, filling the lungs entirely. Then slowly with control, exhaling all the way out. If you're in pigeon pose, bringing the hands to the mat. Tuck the back toes, pressing into the hands. And coming back to child's pose. You can also come back to tabletop. Taking any movement that feels good. And if you're on your back, just bringing both feet to the mat, rocking the knees side to side. Wherever you are, we're going to make our way onto the back. Stretching out fully, making our way into Shavasana. So here, allowing the feet to fall away from the center line of the body, the hands to come palm facing up, just making any adjustments that feel right for you. Totally surrendering. Taking a body scan here from the crown of the head all the way down to the tips of the toes. Just releasing with the breath any last little bits of stuff you're ready to let go of that aren't serving you anymore. Or maybe you want to just, do some spring cleaning to make some more space. And then remove any control over the breath, allowing that natural breath to flow in. Staying here, surrendering here. Feeling into the expansiveness of the body. And breathing. Slowly beginning to deepen and lengthen your breath. You're going to start to wiggle the fingers and toes. And when you're ready, just beginning to roll over to one side. It's going to be the right body or the left side body. Using the arm as a pillow. Just taking a breath here. And taking a moment here to find gratitude for something that's serving you in your life, something that's having a positive influence on taking you or supporting you to head in the trajectory that you're looking to go. Inhaling here, and as you exhale, send out gratitude to that thing or person. And slowly coming up to seated. We're going to connect to love this time. So think of that feeling of love, that overwhelming feeling. Perhaps there's someone in your life that really sparks this joy within your heart. So we're going to connect to love. And as we inhale, gathering up all the love that you can feel. And as you exhale, sending it out to yourself. Thanking yourself, feeling the love for yourself, for taking time just for you today. Carving out that time to show yourself that you care and you love yourself and you want to support yourself in this journey. And lastly, we'll all inhale together, reaching the arms up. Inhaling at the top of the inhale, the palms press overhead. As you exhale, slide the palms down to heart center. It's been an honor practicing with you today. Thank you for joining me. Namaste. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And yeah, we're going to be posting all these classes on the website. So Michelle, the studio owner, will be posting. There's a whole bunch of yoga classes, some guided meditations, lots of stuff. We're going to continue to post our weekly schedule, and I look forward to seeing you on your mat. So thanks, everyone, and have a good night.
What's going on, guys, today? What's going on today, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Rob Anzit. Today I'm showing you how I shoot product photos for...
Hi, Avery and Haley, I suppose. I was just on a call with Rob Anzit this afternoon, just connected with him recently, and he suggested connecting with you, just say hi, that you're super wholesome. And I'm trying to get better at not just like blindly following people. So thanks for, I guess, following me back and commenting on my photo because it reminded me I want to be more personable. So it's nice to meet you. I hope you're having a great day and look forward to seeing your amazing photography on my feed. Hi, Vince. I know we have met in passing maybe a few times now. I think our networks are just have cross pollinated a lot. And I recall you being at a Soul Talk some time ago. And yeah, I somehow just managed to stumble on your legacy coaching Instagram. I'm not sure how I haven't found it until now. But I've heard so many amazing things about everything that you're doing, and I just like really look forward to seeing you continue to develop that and create that community, the trajectory for society as we want it to be. Really excited for and just about everything that you're doing. So, yeah, see you online, I guess. It's nice to connect.
Eyes and words are so icy, but she burns like rum on the fire. Up and fast and angry as she can be. I walk my days on a wire. It looks ugly, but it's clean. Oh, mama, don't fuss over me. When she tells me I'm hers, she's mine. Open and the glass place will be fine. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. Oh, Romeo, bitch, I'll be down to you the fuck.